100 days in hardcore Minecraft. In total, that is over 24 hours of game time, and I get some really fun things later on in the video, including making a piano, so be sure to watch all the way through the end. However, this isn't your ordinary 100 days challenge, this is actually 100 days in hardcore Minecraft Survival Island edition. Enjoy. Now just before we begin, this video took a long time to record and put together, so I'd massively appreciate if you to like and subscribe. You can always change your mind later on. I started day 1 by punching away at the only tree on the island. My main concern was about the short supply of food, because apart from the cows and pigs there was nothing else to cure my hunger. I grabbed some seeds, crafted a hoe, and got to work setting up a farm. Alright, welcome to the new house. Here's the kitchen stroke living room, and here's the bedroom. It's not perfect, but it will do for the first night. With the first night finally over, I needed more wood, so I bone mealed some saplings. The farm grew well overnight. Luckily one of the friends I made overnight gave me a carrot. I still don't know where it went though. With wood production at an all-time high, I felt I could splash the cash and craft myself a chest, as well as a door. This made the house feel more of a home, rather than just a cave. During night 2, a few of the neighbours came around to see what was going on. I swiftly told them to leave, and he did. However, one of them brought me a home-warming gift, which I found very kind, and let him live. Day 3. The farm had finally started to grow, so because it took so long, I decided to expand to produce more, as well as breeding the cows I had on the island. I spotted a cool looking underwater cave that I explored and found lots of coal and iron. By this point I had finally killed enough spiders to craft a bed, so this was the first night that was actually skipped. My plan for day 4 was to set up a proper house. The idea was for it to be in the style of a village, so I set to work mining trees and gathering cobblestone. It would only be a small house that would be temporary, but it would be safe. It was lunchtime on the construction site, so I crafted some fresh bread from the farm to cure my hunger. The house is coming along well, but it will have to be finished in day 5. Day 5. I got off to a slow start because I spent a while farming wood for the house. The house was almost complete, it was only missing windows and some essentials. With the iron I gathered in the mine yesterday, I upgraded my tools as well as armour and crafted a hopper for the egg farm I was going to make. One thing I wanted was other types of seeds such as pumpkin. I was confused I was going to get some, so I went to watch the sunset. It didn't help though, it just left me in the dark. Day 6 began by renovating the new house, installing windows, shutters and other essentials. Next, I covered over a cave next to the house so I could build a carrot farm on top and potentially something cool inside. I finished day 6 by chopping down some trees for the wood to build a carrot farm tomorrow. And there we have it, 1 week in hardcore Minecraft. We have a good setup at the moment, so we just need to start expanding to bigger and better things. Doing the farm is almost a daily task. However, it's not too interesting, so I won't show it most days. The first thing to do on the list of bigger and better things is to find diamonds and go mining. So I decided to strip mine to find some. Luckily I did, and I mined them as well as coal and redstone for XP and headed back to the surface. Day 8. The plan today was to set up a mob farm so it would be easy to get mob drops due to the fact that not many monsters spawn on the island. However, before that, I needed some iron and cobblestone to build it, so I headed to the mine. I didn't end up finding any diamonds, which was unlucky. However, I had to do the old bait and switch with a skeleton to kill a creeper and find the first disc of many. Day 9. I never managed to sleep last night due to mobs being around, so I started the day by placing lots of torches. I needed more cobblestone, so I went mining again. The rest of the day was spent doing very little apart from building the spawner. Day 10. My plan at this point was to start building a bigger area to live. I'm going to need a lot of materials and wood for it. I started to mine out an underground basement for the new house. This would be a sort of storage area to store loot, and I wouldn't have to build a house with a storage room. Construction of the mob farm was almost complete, it only needed a roof and a few more things, and then it'd be complete. Day 11. It started as I fenced the first cows in. They were very good about it and decided to actually walk in. This was done so I could start to mass breed them to get leather for enchantment table. Day 12. I was determined to finish the monster spawner today, so I started gathering cobblestone to finish the roof. By the end of the day, the monster spawner was working well. It would be a good source of experience as well as mob drops. Day 13 was yet again spent chopping down trees to get a lot of wood for the new house. As well as this, I finished lighting up the island so no more mobs would spawn. I started building the layout for the larger house. I wanted to have 2 elevators that take me down to the underground base. Day 14. Today I finally wanted to go to the Nether to grab some soul sand and magma blocks for the elevator. However, when strip mining to find a lava pool, I ended up finding diamonds, which was a nice surprise. When I finally made it to the Nether, I spotted a fortress that was relatively close to spawn, but but I wasn't prepared to enter yet, so I stayed back and gathered the blocks I needed. Day 15, I carried on with the underground base. It was coming along slowly. As well as this, the chicken farm was expanding. We now had 3 chickens in the farm. I wanted to try and build an automatic wheat farm. I wasn't sure how to do it, so I thought I'd wing it. I started clearing out of space behind the house. Day 16, I was getting closer and closer to level 30, so I needed an enchanting table. I went to mine obsidian, so I could craft one. I had a rough idea how to make the wheat farm, but I wasn't too sure. If you have any suggestions, write them in the comments. It's a sad day, and I'm sorry, but I had to put the first cow down in order to craft the enchanting table. Day 17. As I said, my wheat farm isn't a beautiful design, so please don't question it. I spent the entire day trying to get the redstone to work. Day 18. I now have a cow army on the island, but I needed a large amount of leather, so I need to keep them so I can breed them more. Today, I also set up a to-do list. This will be useful so I don't forget what I'm doing, and I also know what to plan to do in the future. I also set out the locations of the elevators. One would take me up with soul sand, and one would take me down with mica blocks. Day 19. I started on the actual construction of the house. It was looking good so far in my opinion. To make Mr. Beast happy, because the house was made out of wood, for every tree I destroyed, I also planted 2 back. Not all the house was made of wood though. The roof was going to be made out of stone bricks that I mined from the underground base. I spent the rest of the day sorting it out. Day 20. I was in need of a new sword, so I decided to craft a new diamond one. On an unrelated note, I went to visit the cows. Due to the visit to the cows, I finally had enough bookshelves to be able to enchant at level 30. After a few basic enchants, I finally got fortune on a pickaxe, which was actually an incredible pickaxe. Day 21. The plan for today was to utilise a new pickaxe and head down to the mine to gather some diamonds. This would upgrade my tools and armour. I managed to find a few diamonds, 2 veins. Unfortunately, one of them was a single ore, however I did manage to find 17 in total, which was pretty good. As well as this, I also gathered a lot of ore and other materials that were useful. Day 22. It started by heading to the enchanting table with the newly crafted armour and enchanting my chestplate. I got incredibly lucky with these enchants. The rest of the day I spent in the mine. Unfortunately I didn't find any diamonds, however I just wanted XP so I can enchant my other armour. I eventually got level 30, however it was night when I returned to the surface, so the enchant would do tomorrow. Day 23. I ended up enchanting my helmet because of the protection 4 it promised me. I felt like I finally needed to finish my underground base, so I set to work mining away with a new faster pickaxe. It felt like a hot knife through butter. Day 24. The entire day was spent sorting out the elevator. It took a lot longer because I decided to go with a 3x3 design. Day 25. I was doing a few finishing touches to the elevator today when I heard a massive mob swarming underneath the ground. This would be a reason why the mob spawner isn't as efficient. But before I could deal with that, I needed a better sword, so I enchanted mine. Day 26 began by carrying on the fight against the massive mobs. I convinced the skeleton to help me in the fight against the creeper to get yet another music disc. If you can't tell, Style's my favourite music disc. Day 27. Today was renovation day. I finally mined out the underground base, so today I was going to smelt all the stone and make it look nicer. So I might have forgotten to put lights underground. However, luckily there's no creepers, so I didn't end up dying. After that disaster, I ended up trying a few designs. I ended up going with this one because it was my favourite. Day 28. At this point, the underground was pretty much done for the time being. I would finish it off in the future days. You might have been thinking what happened to the automatic wheat farm. Well, as you can see, it does work, but it's still not great, so I'm going to remake it at some point. However, at this point, the trees had regrown, so I could carry on construction on the main house. It was looking good. All I needed to do was the second floor and then the roof. Day 29. The day started by updating the to-do list. One of the items I had was making the island prettier. This would be doing stuff such as adding lampposts, so there wouldn't be so many torches all over. After this, I went down towards the mine. I didn't end up finding any diamonds, however I did find a mine shaft, in which I found lots of iron and gold and other materials. I spent the full night in the mine and was still down there at the start of day 30. Whilst mining away at some wood for some torches, I spotted some diamonds in the far corner. After gathering the 11 diamonds, I returned to the surface and crafted my diamond leggings, which complete my diamond armor set. As well as this, I also enchanted a shovel to efficiency 4. Day 31. We are a month in now, so I wanted to get better equipment, so I began by enchanting an incredible bow. Apart from unbreaking, it was all I wanted for the moment. Then with my newly found riches, I crafted railway supplies. I was going to make a mine shaft down to level 11. The mine shaft would start in my underground base. I spent the rest of the day mining the way down to level 11. Day 32. It started by placing all the rails. When that was all set up, I had to give it a go. And perfect. Day 33. Today's plan was to set up a cool looking underwater aquarium in the floor. It would take a long time to complete due to many factors. One of such factors is collecting sand. I needed it for the glass and the floor. It was coming along well. All I needed was water, fish and grass. Day 34. I captured some fish for the aquarium. It took me a while due to them being quite widespread. As well as that, I completed the cage for the fish. Day 35. Today was spent mining wood and placing wood. It was a very intriguing day, to be honest. However, by the end of the day, the house was at this point, so it was coming along well. Day 36. Today started and finished placing wood. I'm gonna be honest, it's a very boring day. However, I did end up placing some glass, which is a nice change, and the house was at this point by the end of the day. Day 37. The last few days were spent renovating the outside of the house, but the inside felt a bit unloved, so I started on the new floor. My pickaxe was running a bit low on durability, so I crafted an anvil and bandaged him up. Finally, I did something a bit more interesting and headed to the Nether. I wanted to get some glowstone so the house would look nicer on the inside. Day 38. I really like this light design, so I decided to put it everywhere in the house, because why not? By the end of the day, the house was finally complete, so I could finally start doing other projects that weren't as boring. Day 39. Today was moving day, so I could finally expand my storage and have more space for activities. As well as this, I added a few more windows upstairs, so it looked a bit nicer. I also added a furnace wall, so I'd be able to smelt stuff faster, because that's what a furnace wall's for. Day 40 began by checking up on the redstone masterpiece that was my auto wheat farm. And if I'm honest, it wasn't too automatic, it only broke the wheat for me. I'm sure there's better methods. Something about this feels wrong, throwing children at their parents and then if one hatches forcing them to breed with each other. However, I did need the eggs, so swings and roundabouts really. Day 41. Last night was the first night in the new house. I finally felt like I progressed. So the plan was now to make the island look nicer by adding paths and other things. I also did a bit of terraforming with the new shovel. I did this to flatten out the land so I could move the cows over into a bigger pen. Day 42. I'd already set up the pen and was moving the cows over to the new one. I also wanted to make a nice looking wheat farm. But when planning out the surrounding area, a friend appeared, with possibly the worst trades I've ever seen. However, his friends looked cute, so I borrowed them. Day 43. It started by carrying on with the new wheat farm since I was so rudely interrupted yesterday. When it'll grow, it'll look really nice and be a great addition to the island. Sadly, I had to say bye to the old wheat farm because I wanted to eventually make a pier here. The llamas were also not angry at me anymore, so I moved them to the front of the house. Day 44. I carried on terraforming the land today, as well as renovating the inside of the elevators on my house. Day 45. I headed down to the mine to mine some materials today, and whilst exploring the old mine shaft I found a chest with some melon seeds, which is very good because that's a new source of food that I can farm. Day 46. It began by re-enchanting my leggings to try and get protection 4. They ended up being one of the best leggings you can get by just enchanting. I also started setting up the automatic melon farm. This wasn't my design, so it would actually probably work quite well. It took me a while to gather all the blocks I needed for it. Day 47. I was still working on the melon farm, however I went on a little boat trip just because I felt like doing it. Day 48. Next big project I wanted to do was to set up a blaze spawner, however I needed to make a portal further closer to the surface, so I settled for inside this cave. I wanted to make a safe way to and from the fortress, and I knew where one roughly was, so I dug in its direction. I eventually found it and was pretty much perfectly lined up with the blaze spawner. Day 49. I had set up the blaze spawner and was going to return when I had enough blaze rods for brewing, because I wanted to set up a brewing station. Eventually I headed home with around 20 blaze rods and on 31 levels of XP. Day 50. We're halfway through, but we still have a lot to do, so there's no time to celebrate. That's for the final day. I noticed that my armor was running low on health, so I decided to head down to the mine to try and get some more diamonds to repair them. On my way back, I managed to get another music disc. This was from another creeper being shot by a skeleton. I also quickly hopped back to the Nether to try and get some nether wart so I could start brewing potions. Day 51. Today I was still in the Nether, and whilst defending myself against a wither skeleton, it dropped something quite cool. Which is the first one I've killed as well, so it was a very rare chance. I quickly gathered 30 levels and headed home. Day 52. I set up a small netherwort farm around the back of the house. It would only be temporary. I also enchanted a spare pickaxe, so if I combined my pickaxe at the moment with this one, it would get efficiency 5. Day 53. I needed a lot of weakness potions, which means I needed a lot of fermented spider eye, which means I needed a lot of brown mushrooms. So I started digging out an underground place for them to grow. I then spent the rest of the day setting up an underground drug facility. Day 54. From now on, my main objective is to hunt for zombie villagers. However, I also need to set up the melon farm, but that wouldn't take as long. However, before that, I did my level 30 enchant on my boots, and finally got protection 4 on all my armour. Day 55 was entirely spent building the melon farm. This was because I had to wait for a few melons to manually grow before I could get more seeds, so I could actually set it up properly. Day 56 was yet again another day working on the melon farm, but by midday it was finally complete. The rest of the day was spent gathering nether materials such as the incredible red nether bricks. Day 57. The blocks I'd got yesterday was going to be used for a cool looking nether cave, and inside the cave there'll be a cool looking nether water farm. Day 58. I woke up and realised if I was to catch a zombie villager, I would never know where for them to live. The old house was spare, and I realised they could live in there, but I had other plans for that house, so I decided to make a new one from the ground up. By the end of the night, it was finally complete, and I could potentially make more for different types of villages in the future. Day 59. I heard some mobs in the wall, and soon I realised there was a small house invasion. However, I did actually manage to get another music disc on accident. Whilst I was sitting at the mob spawner, something I'd been looking for appeared, and I almost killed him. I got him transforming and let him be inside the house for a little while. And eventually, we had our first villager. Day 60. Today I realised there was bees on the island. I don't actually know what to do with bees, but it's quite cool, there's more animals on the island now. The island was turned into a sort of zoo. I turned the villager into a farmer so I could trade it some carrots and make some sweet profit. I got another disc today. This was a duplicate though, it was Melahide for the second time. Day 61. I was sat at my monster farm when a wandering trader showed up. He sold me pumpkin seeds, which is actually probably the best trade it could have given me. I also stole his llamas, so... sorry. Day 62. I got straight to work with the pumpkins and set up a small pumpkin farm. The same design as a melon farm. The villagers even offered me trades for it, so I could even make more profit. Day 63 was yet again spent setting up the pumpkin farm. Day 64. I finally found another zombie villager today, and I might have forgotten he's a zombie, so it did die in the sunlight. Yeah, alright, I'm stupid, get over it. It's alright though, because I found a second one at the night time, which didn't die to sunlight. We then had a second villager so we could start breeding them. Day 65. Today was villager breeding day. I got them beds to sleep in, and lots of bread, so they would, you know, make babies. I also traded them a lot of carrots, because I needed a lot of XP. With the XP, I decided to just do level 30 enchantments on books. Day 66. I spent the night with the villagers for company, but yet again, I did a lot of level 30 enchants throughout the day, due to the melons I'd gathered. Day 67. I started working on fixing the roof in the underground room. I was pretty restricted by stone bricks and the oak wood, but it looked decent in the end. Day 68. Last night was yet again spent with the villagers. We also got our first golem today, which is good because it can protect the island. I also expanded the path, because there's quite a lot of places to go now on the island instead of just one house. I managed to save this cow from inevitable death. And then... didn't. By accident. Day 69. Today I started working on the second villager house, so I could start getting a librarian for mending books. By the end of the day, it was complete. Day 70. Today I started moving some of the villagers over, so I could start getting some librarians. I also enchanted another good bow. This was so I could get power 5 on my main bow when I combined them. I also ended up combining my boots. These ended up being very good. Day 71. I ended up combining those bows that I got yesterday. After that, I went down to the mine to mine some diamonds. And with speed that could only be described as incredibly lucky, I found 10 diamonds. Day 72. I thought today would be a good day to start building a dock. This was the exports of emeralds I now have. I used andesite for a change, because I had a lot of it, but clearly not enough because this is how big it's going to be for the moment. Day 73. The villagers in the other house have now grown up, so they've become librarians. So I spent the rest of the day trying to get mending trades. It took a long time, but I did eventually get one. So I bought maybe a few too many mending books, but I did need to upgrade the librarian, so... Day 74. It started by setting up a map in front of the house. I'm not sure why I did this, I just thought it looked cool, but the island was a lot smaller than I thought it was. The rest of the day was spent preparing for a big project. The big project was going to be to make an iron farm. Flashback to the auto wheat farm. It didn't go great, so I'm just going to follow a tutorial this time. Day 75. I had everything gathered together today. If you don't know how an iron farm works, you basically need 3 villagers and a zombie. The zombie needs to be name tagged because it will despawn over time. So I decided to name the villager my favourite ex-Liquid player. The iron farm needs to be high in the sky, and ideally away from other villagers. So I had the zombie part done, I just need to get the villagers over. Day 76. It was taking a while to get the villagers over because I had to minecart them over. It was taking me a long time to get them in the minecarts themselves. I ended up accidentally hitting one, but he survived though, so it was all good. Day 77. I had a small run with the police today because of the guy I assaulted yesterday. I was too young to go to prison, so I decided to, well, kill him. When clearing away some mess, a new villager appeared, bringing not a lot of good trades, but I grabbed some glowstone, and he was on his way. I didn't need any more llamas, so I let him live. Day 78. Today I carried on working on the villagers. It was taking a long time to move them over. Day 79. I finally got all the villagers in their own little box. So I started construction on the rest of the farm. I know it's ugly, but it's in the sky, and no one will see. Day 80. I needed some flame-proof wood for the iron farm, so I hopped into the nether and grabbed some. The farm was finally done, but it wasn't working very well. But I'd spent so long on it, I'd fix it another time. However, at this point, I had enough XP to put mending in all my armour, so I wouldn't have to go mining for diamonds anymore. Day 81. Today I gathered everything I'd grown to get XP to fix my armour with a mending enchant. At this point, I realised the farm wasn't working because it was too close to my other village at the front. It was probably just a few blocks out, so I'd move it at some point. Day 82. Today's a sad day. It's the day we're going to take down the incredible auto wheat farm and remake it. This also means we're going to have to move the notice board. It would end up being a multi-layered design that would be more efficient. However, I don't have time today, so I'll finish it off tomorrow. Day 83. I sorted out the water supply, as well as the redstone. It seemed to be working better than the last one. It also looks a lot nicer than the last one, so that's always a plus. Day 84. It started by fixing the path and improving the look of the island, as well as trading a lot with the villagers in effort to try and get back up to level 30. I then set up a lamppost. I went for this design because it looked quite clean. There was quite a few around the island by the end of the day. I then finally destroyed the chicken farm. I felt a bit bad, so I just thought I'd let them free. With the eggs and the old house, I made a party room, along with all the music discs that I gathered. Day 85. I started work on the nether room in the cave. It might take me a few days because I've got to wait for a few things to grow. This was a room at this point. It wasn't going to be a massive room, but in the style of a sort of castle, but I'm not sure. Day 86. I didn't want a grand entrance for it because I wanted it to be secret and unknown to outside visitors. I thought it looked really nice. It was quite a good addition to the island. Yet again, the rest of the day was spent trading with villagers. I wanted to try and get level 30 so I can enchant my axe. Day 87. Because I built a secret base for the nethering, I felt I could build another one. But not for me, for some friends I had. Day 88. At the end of the day, I came to collect the owners of the new house. One of them was called Larry for now for some reason. Of course they loved it. It was something to do a bit more interesting than just the normal llama life. Day 89. It began by naming the other llama. Steve, I have no idea why, but Steve was the first name that came up when I googled Larry. Then finally, the bit you've all been waiting for, the piano. I worked hard into the night to finish it. Day 90. I deliberately tuned it incorrectly, so hopefully it won't get copyrighted. Day 91. I started moving over some of the villagers to the new iron farm. It was about 20 blocks further away. When doing this, one of the villagers decided to go for a swim. This didn't look bad, but I had to get him all the way back up again. Day 92. Just being my luck, the villager despawned when I was sleeping. I gave a present to my favourite ex-liquid player so that I could move him during the daylight. I then had to go fetch another villager. I made him a staircase to get up. By the end of the night, they were all in the cages. Day 93. I have some bad news to report. My favourite ex-liquid player might have died. He died between recordings, so I don't have any footage of this. However, I do have a piece of cobblestone that he was holding when he died. But we do have a replacement for him, and here he is arriving to his new home. Nothing could happen now, surely. Yep, a fully invisible creeper. Day 94. I was still at the task of trying to get a replacement, but nothing was going my way. However, this did show that the iron farm was working. Then finally, something that felt like a miracle happened. I finally got a zombie in the cage, and decided to name him Twists. Day 95 started by cleaning up the old iron farm, because the new one was working, so I just thought I'd let it do its thing. The rest of the day was spent trying to get as rich as possible for the final day. Day 96. The new wheat farm had finally grown, so I could test it. It seemed to be working very well. I thought it would be cool, with all the extra railway crafted, to make a way of go visiting the villagers. Day 97. Cue the sad music. Here lies my favourite ex-liquid player. He was a good zombie. He was probably the best zombie, but unfortunately he was taken too soon. Rest in peace. I was too sad to do anything productive, so I just gathered cobblestone for dispensers. Day 98. The final day is coming up soon, and of course I need a celebration. I started working on the fireworks show. I got it working at this point, but I needed some fireworks. I didn't have long left in the day, so that'll be a tomorrow job. Day 99. It was a full day crafting and getting materials for the fireworks show tomorrow. Day 100, the final day. It was a celebration day, so I went to visit everywhere on the island. And of course the best way to celebrate is by giving out cake. Larry and Steve were the first recipients of cake. I then went to visit Twists and the villagers. They was having a good time, I guess. And of course, he gets cake. I waved goodbye to the cows and the villagers and was ready to set sail for new land. But of course, not before the incredible fireworks show. I'd like to personally thank anyone who's made it this far into the video, and if you guys would like to see these videos filmed live, I'll leave my Twitch on screen and in the description. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and thanks for watching.